All right, so here we go. It's finally happening. Battlefield 6 is about to release in only a matter of days on October 10th, and only lucky few have played a new updated build since the beta. Things have changed quite a bit since then for the launch of the game, so has the movement system changed for the better? Will we actually get a server browser at launch? What about locked-in open weapons for classes? What's the final word on that? And what are these new concerns about the sniper being absolutely overpowered? And are those maps big enough for a Battlefield game? Plus, some mixed reception is going around about the Battlefield 6 single-player campaign, and one massive feature that can completely change the post-launch forever. We have to talk about that. So yeah, today we're diving into what's being said, what's working, what's worrisome, and whether this could be the return to form for the franchise it so badly needs. And don't worry, no campaign spoilers here. So let's jump in and let's break it all down. And by the way, I'm doing a very big Battlefield 6 giveaway. So for a chance to win a copy of the game, see that link in the pinned top comment. Good luck. All right, so we've got to talk about the core experience of Battlefield 6, and yes, that is the actual gameplay itself. Now, movement will not feel like the beta, so if you're expecting to jump around and have perfect aim while doing so, that's not going to be happening anymore. There's been significant changes to several key systems like aim assist and movement here. Players complained it felt far too arcadey in the beta, and there was no punishment for jumping around. DICE has decided to update this, of course, penalizing players' aim while jumping and dodging around, essentially slowing down the pace of the game. Besides, this is not Call of Duty. You should be squatting up, examining the situation, and working together to tackle objectives strategically. This isn't a game about doing some sort of 360 no-scope to some dude across the map, so I'm really glad DICE took the feedback to heart. We want a true Battlefield game. Now, as for aim assist, DICE has also updated this as well since the beta. Snap zoom is not going to be a thing, and they are going very light with aim assist, now humanizing the experience, as DICE calls it. We'll see how much casual players take this change, but I think the core Battlefield audience will most likely love this, as it's going to make the game feel more realistic, at least according to the initial reactions from the most recent playtests. Now, one other complaint issued against the Battlefield 6 beta was how easy it was to spot players with the spot mechanic. Now, this is going to be seeing a nerf, so you'll have to be more dependent on your skill and vision versus spamming the spot button to see and engage other players. Also, we have to talk about health regeneration. DICE has some mindful changes here, slowing the health regeneration quite a bit, meaning you will need to take cover more and most likely be dependent on squatting up, which means the support role here has just become more impactful for the full launch of the game. And remember all the sniper glints on Liberation Peak? Yes, I do too. Well, thankfully, DICE is nerfing the sniper glints, making them less visible. But that doesn't mean the snipers aren't there, of course, so you're probably going to want to still take an APC and pepper the hills with some suppressive fire just for good measure. So yeah, I can't wait to squat up with you all and feel the changes for myself. Now, with that being said, it seems like overall, we're seeing mostly positive hands-on feedback from the most recent play sessions. Now, however, there are concerns about map size and destruction, but DICE did make it clear that destruction is there purposefully and not meant to detract from the gameplay. And we're going to talk about that further on in the video, so stay tuned. But we got to talk about some systems that are iconic to the series, which are returning, but also offer their own unique flair to make this a Battlefield 6 experience, making it stand out from the rest of the games. But some of these systems are definitely ruffling some feathers, so let's go ahead and talk about it. So the big one, obviously, is the class system, which returns with Assault, Support, Engineer, and Recon, each with distinct perks and gadgets. So there's one big difference compared to the classic class system of games like Battlefield 3 and 4. These classes will use an open weapon system in the regular conquest mode, meaning that class identity is less about what gun you carry and more about gadgets and secondary abilities. However, hold up, there is some good news here. DICE did confirm they will be offering a closed weapon playlist at launch, so players can still play the game with a closed weapon system, meaning that snipers will be locked to the sniper class and other related weapons will be locked to their specific classes. Let me know, are you guys going into an open or closed lobby? Sound off in the comments down below. However, there's also some new stuff here, which is stirring up some opinions. The Assault class, for example, is getting a large hammer, which can easily knock through walls and obstructions. Sounds like a lot of fun, but there is a few holdouts here saying that this is far too arcadey for a Battlefield game and comes across as unrealistic. So will we be seeing a nerf to the hammer's damage in time? Do you think this should happen or not? A lot of players think that yes, this should happen. Now, the assault is also getting a retractable ladder for easily climbing practically anywhere. Some are concerned that this may unbalance maps, while others love the idea about getting up anywhere basically on a perch and dominating the map. But only time will tell if this mechanic is loved or hated, but having extra maneuverability around the battlefield will be nice. And for recon, it will no longer be getting the spawn beacon that is also going to be headed over to the assault class. Mentioning recon, by the way, there's a bigger problem that is beginning to appear with the sniper, and that is the specific attachment. Now, initial reports say the rangefinder, a 15-point add-on you can slap onto any bolt action sniper rifle, is absolutely OP. You could pair it with any scope, hit a button, and boom, your rifle is instantly zeroed to the exact range of your target. That means bullet drop, by the way, basically doesn't exist anymore. Now, if you played Battlefield 4, you will remember the rangefinder. That thing gave you the distance, but you still had to adjust your scope and actually account for bullet drop yourself. It required some skill and timing, but in Battlefield 6, this one attachment strips away a huge chunk of the skill curve for sniping. It doesn't just help bad snipers, it also makes good snipers even deadlier. Imagine players sprinting around, quickscoping, and instantly headshotting people hundreds of meters away without even breaking a sweat. We'll see if this becomes a real big concern. And honestly, I would not be surprised if we saw significant changes around how the rangefinder worked pretty quickly after launch. Now, Battlefield 6 also offers combat roles, peeking and leaning, and even the ability to hitch onto vehicles when seats are fully occupied, which I love this feature. It's really, really cool. Also, not to mention, it makes for some absolutely hilarious moments too. And one of the standout features praised by pretty much everyone is the new drag and revive system. Instead of reviving in place, you could drag an ally to cover while reviving them. Absolutely love it. This is the sort of thing that is like a major improvement and moves the franchise forward, in my opinion. Also, we got to talk a little bit about destruction. This has been a hot topic for sure. Is it an improvement on Battlefield or not? And I think overall, the sentiment is that destruction has been amazing since the beta. And even from players that have played the most recent build, they're saying destruction is crazy. In fact, there was a crazy leak that showcased an entire building completely collapsing in the Battle Royale mode. A player was able to absolutely level that building with very little of its infrastructure actually intact. So it definitely brings back the Siege of Shanghai vibes. So we'll see how far we could take destruction in the final build. It sounds like it's going to be crazy, especially on that Battle Royale map. Now, when comparing destruction to previous Battlefield titles, it's still a massive upgrade with dirt and dust filling the air, tons of debris flying everywhere, and massive structures still toppling over. And now we got to talk about one big controversy that is stirring up major conversations within the Battlefield 6 community, and that is a lack of a server browser. Now, DICE is still not willing to give into overall player demand that we want a proper working server browser. Strangely enough, Portal mode will be receiving its own server browser, but the core experience will be without it. Here's the hoping that DICE listens to their fans and actually adds in a working server browser post-launch. But again, they're really holding out and they just want you to go through regular matchmaking. Let me know if you guys want to see a server browser or not. I think if the community makes enough noise about this, we might actually see a server browser in time. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest selling points for Battlefield 6. And of course, that's going to be the vehicles here, which I've seen some pretty good buffs since the beta, by the way. Early impressions say that this is where Battlefield 6 really shines. Tanks, helicopters, and even lighter transports feel heavy, responsive, and genuinely dangerous in a way that Battlefield 6 fans have been missing. And the tanks made big waves during the beta. Not only did they dish out devastating firepower, but the secondary gunner seats were called out by several testers as ridiculously powerful. Riding shotgun on a tank wasn't just a support role anymore. Secondary gunners were shredding infantry and even putting pressure on other vehicles. Some players admitted they straight up feared tanks in the beta, and that's exactly the kind of dread a Battlefield tank should inspire. Helicopters also felt great too this time around, though there were some complaints from the beta. Pilots had to initially get used to the difference in controls from past Battlefield titles, but once they got the hang of it, most skilled pilots had praise for how smooth the controls felt with a balance of precision and power. However, Some of you guys felt helicopters and vehicles felt too slow. The good news is practically every air and ground vehicle are going to be seeing some kind of speed buff to get you back into the action quicker and make things a bit more snappy. And air battles between helis and jets just absolutely look cinematic here, while swooping low over infantry squads can completely change the flow of a match. Not gonna lie, helicopters were easily one of my #1 go-to vehicles in the game when they became available, and it was a blast switching seats between pilot seat and gunner seat to take down enemies below. It's the definitive battlefield experience. With that said, there's also a bit of a split in the community with the health and armor of vehicles. While many love how powerful these vehicles feel, others believe they should be even tankier. In the beta, tanks and helis sometimes went down too fast, faster than expected, leaving some veteran Battlefield players calling for a health buff to restore that old school dominance. Either way, vehicles are once again one of the major backbones of the Battlefield experience, whether you're behind the wheel of a tank, piloting a chopper, or clinging on as an infantry praying not to get vaporized. The message is clear here. Vehicles in Battlefield 6 matter, and they're back to being the absolute monsters of the battlefield. All right, so we got to talk about the multiplayer maps. This is where Battlefield 6 will live or die. The maps have to be good, and from the beta, there's only been one complaint that I've really noticed. The maps felt too small and too intimate. However, this was only a slice of the full pie, and the latest build of the game offered players a chance to play on one of the biggest maps in Battlefield 6, and that is Mirak Valley. I'll talk about that in a moment, but let's take a look at the maps we'll be getting at launch and then immediately post-launch. So Battlefield 6 will launch with a total of 9 maps, including Siege of Cairo, which is located in Egypt, Iberian Offensive, located in Gibraltar, and Liberation Peak, located in Pakistan. Empire State, this is going to be featuring a dense urban environment ideal for close quarters combat. We have Manhattan Bridge, which is located in Brooklyn, Saints Quarter, located in Gibraltar again, New Sobek City, a new map set in Egypt, and Mirak Valley, located in Gibraltar, and finally, Operation Firestorm, a reimagining of a classic map from Battlefield 3. And yeah, that's a pretty damn good lineup to start us off at launch, also considering this has a full-blown Battle Royale mode and a single-player campaign to boot, and thankfully, we're getting a good mix of small, medium, and large-scale maps. As for Mirak Valley, first impressions are really good. A lot of veteran Battlefield players that got their hands on it have already praised it for feeling like a traditional Battlefield map. Be prepared for lots of sniper fire, utilizing movement systems into cover, and more importantly, working together as a squad by foot and by vehicle. It'll be a true test for Battlefield fans, which is fantastic to hear. So not too shabby, but post-launch is also looking pretty good too. Here's what DICE had to say about the immediate post-launch future of Battlefield 6. So Battlefield 6 Season 1, the first major free update, will be offering new maps, modes, weapons, and more, and it will be beginning on October 28th, 2025 across all platforms. So yeah, starting out on that date, October 28th, our first season kicks off with Rogue Ops, an experience where squads will be challenged to use their skill and achieve victory on a brand new map, Blackwell Fields. Now on October 18th, the homegrown United States Alliance defies the odds in California Resistance and takes the battle to Eastwood, another new map. And on December 9th, the tide of war shifts once again with a sub-zero chill during the winter offensive that blankets the Empire State in snow, which is an update to, of course, the Empire State map. And we're also going to be getting new weapons, modes, and vehicles throughout Season 1, as well as upcoming seasons. This is an excellent start to Battlefield 6's post-launch plans. But can DICE really keep this type of support up throughout the entire life of Battlefield 6? We'll see, but if the beta and pre-order numbers indicate anything, I say that is a yes. So this is EA's big chance. Now, we got to talk about performance and optimization. This is always a big one. We've already experienced games this year that have had absolutely horrible performance and optimization. So let's go ahead and talk about it with Battlefield 6. It seems like a very big strength this year for this game. So as you guys know, past Battlefield titles have usually struggled with performance at launch, but this doesn't appear to be the case with Battlefield 6 if the beta is any indicator, and that recent build. Now, the majority of players, both on PC and console, talk about how smooth Battlefield 6 ran on their system. For me, it also ran really, really good on the beta. This was easily one of the best Battlefield beta experiences I've ever had. thanks to how well the game was optimized. Let me tell you what, I did not want it to end. And I think a lot of this also is due to the fact with really good back-end net coding and server coding, but also the fact that, yeah, they are not supporting ray tracing at launch. However, ray tracing is really cool and all, but man, it does really take up a ton of resources. It's not really 100% necessary in a multiplayer shooter that looks as good as Battlefield 6. But the big question is this, of course, would you like to see the option of ray tracing added down the road, even if it does come with some performance hiccups? Sound off in the comments down below. Hopefully they can get ray tracing in the game that is really optimized, of course. Maybe that's the plan. We'll have to wait and see. Now, since the beta, DICE has also done some really good netcode and server-side improvements. So apparently having nearly 500,000 people on the beta have really helped them fine-tune everything for launch. So crossing our fingers, at launch, out of the gates, we get a smooth experience. Oh, and yeah, by the way, Battlefield 6 will be getting a proper Battle Royale mode too. According to early details and leaked gameplay, it will feature a zero tolerance, meaning if you touch the boundary, you're instantly eliminated with no gradual health drain like other Battle Royale shooters. This will definitely up the tension as that zone continues to close in on you and your buddies. And yeah, there's even a leak that showcases entire buildings toppling over in Battle Royale. So yeah, full destruction will be a thing in Battlefield's Battle Royale mode. The BR mode is set to be releasing, by the way, on October 28th, 2025, but this is just a leak for now. We'll have to wait for further confirmation as to when this mode actually releases. And we're also going to be getting Battlefield Portal, and this isn't just going to be another game mode that's tacked on to the experience, at least according to DICE. They're saying, hey, here, go absolutely nuts in a giant sandbox where you can create basically anything you want. They're calling these creations community experiences, and there is going to be a server browser where you can go through and play the approved stuff. That means you can recreate a horde mode experience or go completely off the rails and create like a 2D top-down shooter. These tools are going to be extremely flexible. We have not seen this robust of a tool set for a Battlefield game. So yeah, get hyped. I really think we're going to be seeing some absolutely wild creations from Battlefield Portal. All right, so yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about single player as well. We're actually getting a full-blown single-player campaign for a Battlefield game. Rejoice. To go into further details here without spoiling the story, the Battlefield 6 campaign, from what has been played thus far, seems to be more of a proving ground to learn about all the class systems for multiplayer. Now, the story is pretty standard fare, and apparently a lot of the missions play safe, copying from what works from other well-known FPS games out on the market right now. But the AI apparently also has a lot to be desired, but perhaps a day one patch would remedy this. But I think DICE's real focus here is clearly the multiplayer this go around. Narratively, it's really tough to judge a game's story just from a small slice, but from early impressions, characters are a bit on the bland side, supposedly. So this is a military-centric story, of course, where the plot is held together more about what's happening in the world and in the battles themselves than deep individual personalities. But hopefully we can get something truly unique here. But only time will tell. I'm just happy single player is back, though. I'm absolutely thrilled they did not skip out on the single player campaign, because personally it adds a lot of context to what's happening in multiplayer, and that's the sort of thing I love. So yeah, things are looking very good for Battlefield 6 according to early reviews from both the beta and those content creators and game journalists who got their hands on the most recent build of the game, including the large-scale maps like Murak Valley and even the single-player campaign. So Battlefield 6 is shaping up to be an ambitious return to its classic form with modern tweaks, of course. The foundations like classes, gadgets, vehicles, mobility, and map design are all very promising here. I think the only thing DICE needs to do is address any bugs or issues that arise at launch, and also balance some things. It seems like there are going to be some very OP things about some classes that could be really, really concerning. We'll have to wait and see. Now, if they manage to fix such issues quickly and communicate with the community regularly and effectively, and continue to pump out high quality content well after launch, then yes, Battlefield 6 could easily go down as one of the best Battlefields ever made. So as you can tell, I am extremely excited for Battlefield 6 here and cannot wait for October 10th, 2025, counting down the days. So yeah, until then, be sure to smack that subscribe button so you can stay in the know and updated on all things Battlefield 6. Thanks guys so much for watching. And I will see you all next time. Take care.